coming into this series, or coming into this game of the series to try and shut out the BLG strategy, but it's not going to happen, at least for the time being, as RNG now look towards elsewhere on the map, trying to get a good jungle matchup for Wei so that he can set up that top lane once again.
Yeah, and I mean, the Volibear, incredibly strong early duelist and can do relatively well against the Lee Sin. Now, I just want to throw out there, BiuBiu plays a hell of a lot of the Lee Sin top. So this could still be a solo lane Lee Sin, and maybe we see WeiWei try and pick something now for himself that counteracts this Volibear. On the upside, they're Cryin going to go pick up the Ryze. I like this. I think Cryin definitely needs something, it feels like, in this game where he can start to roam, facilitate Xiaohu top lane on this Viego, try and help out on the bot side, but Zeka going to try and shut that down, with the Gala going to be able to play off towards both sides if they decide to lock that in.
See where they go, Cryin with this Ryze. So it feels like a lot of the strength of BLG's composition from game number 1 being taken by RNG here. The Viego is the first pick. The Ryze is the pick for Cryin, which is a very strong pick for Cryin anyway. That felt like a bit of a takeaway from Cryin in game number 1. So really nice adaptations here in the draft from RNG.
And I want to see RNG start to ban away these mid laners that can move with the Ryze, right? Something that can push in against it. Galio, we just saw hovered from Zeka. I think things like the Orianna as well could be banned away, but actually they're convinced that this Lee Sin is going towards the jungle, so they're going to ban away the Camille. Potential here for the Gwen ban away is they just want to continue on towards this top side of the map.
So top laners banned by RNG, AD carries being banned here by BLG, and if you want to ban out Gala, I mean, Kai'Sa would be the the number 1, but I feel like Kai'Sa has a pretty rough laning phase against the Ziggs. Very, very difficult to find any opportunities because you're just outranged, generally speaking, as the Ezreal taken off. So weak side bot lane is being banned by BLG.
There is still the opportunity to go something like a Thresh Jinx, though, if you really want to. Like, you still have a lot of safety there. I mean, unless PP, well, you can't even see ppgod taken up because you've already got the LEona locked in. So I'm still not convinced that you won't just see some sort of weak side bot lane come through from RNG here and have that late game scaling locked in beside us.
We talked about it earlier in game number 1. We talked about it as a Jace counter pick, but it is very good at killing mages, Dagda. Zeka is very good at playing bruisers, Dagda. He's not going to lock it in. He goes to the Renekton, but still, same deal, right? The Renekton, very aggressive, potentially in that mid lane. Could be going up to the top lane for BiuBiu either, depending where this Lee Sin ends up.
Yeah, there's still a lot of flexibility here for BLG. Now, we haven't seen Zeka play the Renekton, but could be a Renekton mid as well. So BLG, I like that they're kind of keeping RNG on their toes here. The Varus, if Gala went for it in the last game, could potentially go towards it here again. I think if you pair it with something like the Thresh, it becomes a little bit easier to maneuver this Varus around, avoid some of the damage that can come through from Ziggs, but also just enables a lot of RNG's composition as well. Good follow-up, good reposition tools for the likes of the Ryze in the mid lane as well. So could look towards that, or we just get the traditional pick of the Nautilus, which has kind of been the go-to against this LEona. Okay.
Sett coming on through for Ming here. That's exciting to see because I feel like Sett is one of the more underrated supports in the meta right now. Certainly a lot of hard engage and creative play available with that Sett if you can find yourself on a flank. It's a Nidalee. For the second time today, we get to see the Renekton Nidalee come on through once again.
And gives a good amount of range to the BLG composition as well, right? Now you got Ziggs and this Nidalee that can do a lot of damage from afar, so RNG again have to try and find these engages. This time around though, they have a lot more tools to try and set that up with the Ryze, the Sett, who can come in from many different angles as well. So I think BLG going to be trying to keep themselves at least in the early stages, playing up towards this top lane, making sure they can play off the double bruiser and that Nidalee with the CC to provide for these early spears.
Feels like BLG, once again, very, very strong long-range poke composition here. If they can get a lead, if they can be the ones on the objectives first, feels really good. Let's talk RNG again, though, because BLG, it feels like the strategy hasn't changed too dramatically for them. For the side of RNG, a lot of picks changing up here. Is there a big difference in playstyle you're anticipating?
Yeah, I think the big one is, look, you've got a roaming mid laner in this. Ryze can look to play towards that top side of the map. Especially in these early stages, Ryze can shove in pretty effectively and look to make these roams up towards the top side of the map. As well, you've got this Volibear who at level 6 can turn off towers, so certainly a little bit more pressure on towards BiuBiu in these early stages. So we'll have to see if BiuBiu can keep himself safe from this 3-man roam squad, because if you're only up against like both the Nidalee and this Renekton on the top side for RNG, you can win that 3v2 fairly handily.
Now, Dagda, I want to take a second and talk about Zeka. I already said he's capitalized his name on the Rift. He's capitalized his gameplay recently. Well, this Lee Sin is one of those two notorious picks that you talked about before this series began. He has played it 3 times so far. He has a 100% win rate, and he has a 41 KDA on this Lee Sin in the mid lane. Zeka is certainly a player to keep your eyes on as we head into game 2.
Yeah, and especially if he can get these early leads, if you can have Xiaohu play towards that, unlock him. He's amazing at making these roaming plays happen, starting to actually counteract a lot of what BLG want to do. But WeiWei getting spotted out here.
Do we have level 1 shenanigans? It looks like not in the end. Just going to be some vision taken. As I'm not sure if WeiWei actually dropped a ward there, or if it was just a trap. I think it is a ward, though. Oh, yeah, because he threw a spear, so it must have been a ward. As 1v1 between Cryin and Zeka. Huge damage coming out from Zeka. He has flash available. Cryan's got to be real careful on that one. That's so crucial. With minions arriving, Cryan's laning phase is going to be difficult now.
And one of the things for Lee Sin is that you actually kind of suck until level 3. You don't get access to your full rotation spells, you don't really get to push. So having this big lead now pop up early gives a lot of control of Zeka to this early wave. And one of the things I wanted to point out was Cryin can push this wave, crash 3rd wave, potentially move up towards top side to interrupt Xiaohu and BiuBiu's 1v1. But now having to go into the back foot going to make that a heck of a lot more difficult to do.
Feels like this Twisted Fate ban has been a bit of an issue for Cryin so far in this series. Xiaohu, though, this time around on the Viego. Feels like he's in a bit of a more advantageous position up on the top side. Great little pull here by Ming in the bottom side. Starting things off aggressively with him and Gala. I remember Ziggs, definitely one of these picks that does require a couple of items before you really coming online, but it is a skill shot champion. If you can hit those bombs on the enemy AD carry, items don't matter so much. You'll still be able to poke them out of lane.
And with that early pressure, hoping that WeiWei can get down to the bottom side, but Wei now here against Zeka.
Flash for flash in the mid lane. It's going to be Wei trying to close the gap. Zeka, very nice ward. It was a little too close for comfort. Nearly got caught just going for the ward, but will be able to survive another day.
Yeah, and look, it means that now for Cryin, still having control of this wave, just trying to even that up a little bit. Wei is still going to be trying to push in towards this top side of the map. You can see this big wave trying to crash here for Xiaohu, but with WeiWei on the bottom side, there's not going to be too much pressure for Xiaohu underneath this enemy turret.
So we see our junglers going opposite routes here. Wei already making that transition gank in the mid lane. Nice little pull here by Ming in the bottom side, but Gala completely disrupted. Doesn't get to use his Q in the trade, unfortunately for him, so not as advantageous as they'd like. And WeiWei could be in trouble now. Big push in the bottom side, but looks like they're too late. WeiWei will grab his crab. So 1 for 1 on the Scuttle Crabs. Everything neutral so far in this game, Dan.
Yeah, you can see Gala trying to eye up to see if he can get the Scuttle. Like, most junglers will do a second smite in their jungle before going for the Scuttle Crab, so there is always the opportunity to steal it, but Gala not quite able to get in position. So junglers pretty much even Steven right now. We just have to see where they want to try and put their attention on this next reset. Again, like, you're battling for control here. Oh, hang on. BiuBiu?
Oh my days. Xiaohu. These are some aggressive trades in the top side. And here's the thing. Renekton is not a pick that you lock in to scale up. This is a pick you play to win the early laning phase. Xiaohu, he does not care for the reasons that BiuBiu has picked it. All he cares for is aggressive trading, and it's working out beautifully for him.
The way that you want to play this is exactly as Xiaohu is, like punishing the range advantage that you have. As soon as BiuBiu uses a spell, going for these heavy trades, keeping him at arm's length. Now, this will start to move over into BiuBiu's favor as he starts to get a bit more levels in his Q. He starts to get that Iron Spike whip. Like, you can trade very quickly against Xiaohu. So Xiaohu, I think off this reset, will look towards the early Vamp Scepter, make it a little bit of an easier trade in that, but actually just going towards the Phage, so not even going to go towards the Blade of the Rune King, instead going straight towards that Divine Summon.
I guess wanting that sustained damage that you do get from all of those Sheen procs across the course of a fight, as well as percentage damage, could be necessary to be able to burn through the front line of BLG later on into the game. BLG, though, is WeiWei trying to get some kind of control, dropping a trap into the river brush there, just to make sure if we do see Wei coming into that river, it'll be all known about by WeiWei. Next crab coming up on the bottom side of the map, though. But we talked about both of these teams quite happy to forego the bottom side, right? Quite happy to go for Heralds instead of Drake's Cryin with a nice little dodge. Sonic Wave in the mid lane. But the root, Zeka's gone in just as his jungler comes out. Complete miscommunication. A thinking emoji out from Cryin, but here comes ppgod behind the play. WeiWei can still follow up on this one. The locked up target, the spear easy to land, but another rune prison comes out from Cryin. He wants to earn that paycheck, might get punished for it. BiuBiu doesn't have the damage. The double kill comes in, and Cryin looks to make a name for himself.
We questioned him on the Ryze pick, and how dare we? A double kill in that play coming through for Cryin, looking so good in that play. Spots the Renekton coming down from the top side and still manages to pick up the double. And RNG, this is what we wanted to see from him in the early stages. And watch down the replay here. Wei knows there is no vision in this brush. He hides just out of vision, and the second they go in, Zeka, not spotting the Volibear fast enough, follows up on the Q, means that Wei's able to finish him off. And even here, this is nice from ppgod. I like the idea of the roam. Unfortunately for him though, Cryin bursts out WeiWei. ppgod goes way too far into the tower, thinking that he'd be able to finish off Wei, who just gets his own shield. And with the TPs coming in, BiuBiu's got to run for the hills.
And it's really important to talk about the presence of mind that we get to see from Cryin. I'm not talking about the rune. I realize that sounds like I'm talking about mana regen. Using the rune prison to get the actual root is so crucial in these situations because it stops the follow-up, right? When that means that you're going to do less damage in your combo as a Ryze. It's important to be able to combo effectively. I'm going to hold this door. We've got BLG invading on the red buff. They're going to be able to take this one. Wei just moving in and actually manages to get this steal. BLG have to walk away empty-handed. They committed a lot of time to that play.
Yeah, it's not also the biggest of wins, right? I mean, look, red buff is nice, right? It gets the slow, nice for ganks and stuff like that. Like, it's campstone away, but at the same time, you're a Volibear. Like, you have so much chase down potential. You have a bunch of CC. You have a ton of slows in your kit. It doesn't really impact his ganking. And as well, you still have those opportunities we talked about with Wei. Now with the Sheen, looking for those tower dives, and I am casting my eyes towards that top side. You have TP available for Cryin. He is full mana. He has Realm Warp to get back to the mid lane. They can look to start these plays.
Oh, pulling in the bottom side. ppgod getting traded aggressively on once again. That seems to be consistent in this bottom lane. Ming quite happy to trade support health for support health because he's Sett. He has insane amounts of health regen, so you're happy to take that trade any day of the week. Dagda, we're 8 minutes into this game. I want to kind of reset on what we should be expecting of the next few minutes, because I feel like it's been, even though there's only 3 kills, pretty chaotic here. It's a 1,500 gold lead for RNG. Feels like they have to be the ones pushing forwards.
The big news for RNG is that they burnt the TP on Aiming and Zeka, so they can go for these mass plays on top side if they want to, knowing that BLG won't really be able to respond. However, look at the bottom lane. Gala only just resetting. BLG off of that push have got to this Rift Tower first, and RNG won't be able to respond fast enough, and they're not even in a position to trade because Gala reset.
We'll see, though, because I've seen RNG take these fights before. I've seen LPL teams happy to turn up to a fight late and try and win it out anyway. Here we go, Ming with a showstopper, but he's locked up on the front line himself. There's a big haymaker across the team. Health bar's low from RNG, though, as they're grouped up. In goes Wei, bringing the thunder and pushing BLG away. The Herald is taken. In the end, WeiWei grabs it for himself, and BLG in full retreat, but Cryin won't let them go anywhere. Ming now trying to regain ground, trying to close the gap on this one. Hex Flash over the wall, under the tower they go. Sky Splitter coming on in a TP as well. Aiming, dodges away from the damage. Ming will go down. It's a 1-for-1 under the tower. BiuBiu late to the party. RNG are 7-1.
It's a 4-for-1 trade. They miss out on the Rift Tower, but the team fight still goes the way of RNG, and this is the way that RNG play. They're more about getting these early gold leads than looking towards these early objectives, and although I thought they were going to be late, they take this fight before Gala even shows up. Like, look at where Gala is, and RNG are still confident to go, no, we can play this. Ming flashes in, gets the engage, and RNG just focus this top half. So while BLG are going, hang on, we got to finish this Rift Herald, they're able to finish off BiuBiu so quickly. Xiaohu now starts to get the resets, and eventually we ignore the flash from Gala when he misses the Chains of Corruption, but he is now in the fight, and RNG can close it out.
Beautifully done by RNG, and BLG left wondering what went wrong on this one. You can see in the picture-in-picture as well, the dragon taken here is the rest of this play. I mean, Ming just sacrificing himself to make the extra kill happen, and the TP saving Zeka's life from BiuBiu. But now we have to see what else is going to happen across the course of this game. Aiming 1-0-0. He's headed towards his first line, but realistically, when you look across the scoreboard, it's kind of the polar opposite of what we saw in game number 1. This time, it's Cryin that's massively ahead instead of Zeka. This time, it's Xiaohu with a lead in the top lane, albeit not as crazy as the lead BiuBiu got.
And look, I think everyone is going to kind of agree that Cryin has had a bit of a rough start to the split, but it certainly feels like he's now finding his home on these roam-oriented champions, control mages that can provide CC and enable the rest of the team. And this Ryze is fitting that beautifully now. You can see 4-0-3. He's controlling this mid lane so well against Zeka despite that early start, and now is providing everything that RNG need to start to play the map.
Xiaohu returning to the top side, but look at WeiWei here, trying to potentially set up a dive for himself, because Zeka's moving up as well. Remember, BiuBiu, if he can get the stun onto Xiaohu, can set this up beautifully. TP's come in. Xiaohu flashes the spear, though. Heartbreaker back underneath the tower. The bombs go wide from aiming, and it's Cryin and Xiaohu against the world under the tower. Zeka will go down as 1-4, in comes Ming to try and lock them up as well. RNG have thwarted the play. This series is about the mind games, and this time it's RNG who've read BLG. This time it's RNG thwarting the plays.
Wei is still here. They're looking for more.
Ming wants to keep this one going. Wei moving in, looking for ppgod. He is tanky though, and forced to flash away. 10-2 on the scoreline. A 4,000 gold lead for RNG.
And this is RNG playing their style once again. BLG, they forgot to count the wards. They only saw 3 of them on the map. They didn't realize that Ming, the 4th ward for RNG, was making his way topside, and Ming able to turn that play back around. And now RNG, they get more off the back of it as well. Turret plates in the hands of Xiaohu. Divine Sunder going to be completed for this Viego. Lady of the Rune King going to be coming through very soon. And now Xiaohu's in a position to fully take over in this side lane and use the strengths that RNG have used in their 9-win streak so far.
And honestly, I'm not even asked about Xiaohu this game. I'm looking at Cryin. 5-1-4. This guy has been criticized so much over the course of not just this split, over the course of the last 2 years, honestly. Aside from when he was on E-Stars, he was praised heavily. As soon as he moved over to RNG, it felt like this guy was just getting limitless amounts of criticism. And I want to point something out quickly, that a lot of people perhaps thinking that this Ryze pick is a little bit weird because he's not played it this split. It's not the case. It is his second most played mid laner of all time. 66% win rate for Cryin on this Ryze. This is a classic for Cryin in that mid lane, and it's exciting to see him leveling up once more. You said it yourself, Dagda. He had a slow start to this split, but he has more than come into his own.
And now he gets to go and use this in a side lane, right? You stick Cryin in one, Xiaohu in the other. You got the realm warps, the TPs, everything you want to start beating BLG in that side lane control. And this is where RNG start to shine. They'll start to push in side lanes, be first to objectives. You're constantly moving in here as BLG, and this again is a composition that pretty much relies on aiming because of how far both these solo laners are for BLG, how far WeiWei is behind on this Nidalee as well. And look at Ziggs' items, right? He's had 0 attention this entire game. He's a level behind Gala. He hasn't got his first item completed, and he's behind the curve, and he's still a long way away from the top of that curve.
Yeah, difficult situation for aiming. And we talked after game number 1 about how to play through the Ziggs, right? How to make this pick work. Uh-oh, aiming. He does finish the tower, but was it worth it? I'm not so sure, because Gala gets himself a kill. And guess what? He also has auto attack. He can also take towers. This will be traded in the bottom side.
And just in time for Dragon as well, right? 35 seconds into that spawns. BLG trying to make a play topside, but Xiaohu's just killing BiuBiu.
BiuBiu having to use the Dominus super early in this skirmish, but he's got his teammates nearby. So they look to maybe set up a dive. I think BiuBiu threatening the idea of it more than he actually wants to go for a dive here because he's low on HP. They're looking to finish this tower off. ppgod off on the wings. He's on a ward. Xiaohu, you got to back away from this one, buddy. This is not a fight that you can take anymore. Tower will go down, but look, we talked about the towers being taken on the bottom side. Well, RNG looking for a tower and a half on this one. Almost finished that second one off. If it wasn't a Ziggs, if it was any other AD carry, that might be a tier 2 take.
And now BLG need to start trading on this top side again. Look towards the Rift Herald as RNG inevitably falling back towards this dragon. WeiWei going to start that one up, but still need to be careful because you can see RNG, they can start to move up towards this top side of the map if they want to. Xiaohu is in position and there's no Dominus available for BiuBiu.
Realm Warp going to be coming on through here. It's Cryin and Gala. RNG, they're going to get everything. And this is the power of that Ryze pick. You take the Drake, fantastic. You then just teleport to the top side of the map. They're all stored on a Scuttle Crab, practically taunting BLG because BLG know there is no universe. They can fight RNG right now. And we just have to take a moment and appreciate how big of a change it is to see in game number 2 comparatively to game number 1. The way RNG are dealing with this style of composition from BLG. Felt like BLG in game number 1 coming in, completely reading the RNG playbook, throwing a total curveball at them. RNG thrown for a loop, but then they come back in game number 2. Totally different draft, totally different style, and it's looking beautiful.
And the big difference is just not having that super strong counter pick for BiuBiu in the top side. The fact that like aiming is free farming the bottom lane doesn't nest BLG that auto win. So it means that now they've actually got to try and fight against RNG. And RNG, roaming mid laner, strong top lane, way able to support them. Like this is the RNG style. And unfortunately BLG are now falling prey to it. But I want BLG to try and find plays to get back at RNG. And a lot of this is going to be looking towards Cryin that bottom lane. See if you can shove in this mid lane with the Ziggs, commit ppgod, WeiWei, BiuBiu on towards a full play on towards Cryin. Pick him off, get the Ryze out of the picture, and make sure that you're not falling further behind.
Your dreams may come true because we've got WeiWei and BiuBiu moving towards the bottom side, but Wei is here as well. He knows exactly what BLG would love to do, and he's here to stop it in its tracks. We've got another 3 minutes until this Drake is up, but it's not going to stop RNG playing towards the bottom side because that tier 2 already taken to half HP. With Ming and Wei taking complete control of the bottom side of the jungle here, they can set Cryin up for success in that sort of pseudo split push role. It's going to be a chain of corruption onto ppgod there. Kind of surprised to see the ultimate committed, but Gala has a Rift Herald in hand. I think they're just looking to siege mid.
And even if they didn't, it's looking at top side as well, right? You're forcing members from BLG to reset when you've got pressure top. Now you've got the Rift Herald mid as well. It's RNG not playing the lane, they're playing the map, and BLG aren't able to keep up right now.
Really nicely done here by RNG to keep pushing the gold lead. They don't quite finish the tower in the mid lane there, but tower went down elsewhere onto the map. It's going to be 2-2 in terms of towers, but 11-2 in kills here. And a 5,000 gold lead. And it does feel like BLG are doing a good job to stall out. And here's one of the tricky things, right? You got a Ziggs. Ziggs is maybe the best champion in the entire game at stalling games out, at slowing games down. And with the early Drake that BLG got, it does feel like they have a good composition to just halt everything in its tracks. It doesn't scale that well as a composition, but at least they could stop things ending.
Yeah, and I think there's not a maybe attached to that. Ziggs is 100% the best champion that likes stall out these things. The Mega Inferno Bomb hits side waves. You've got insane wave clear in the mid. And that's why for RNG, they are now turning their attention towards these objectives, right? Baron shuts down that wave clear from aiming. Dragon starting to come online means that BLG have to fight. Or you end up with an Ocean Soul that just kind of nullifies a lot of what aiming can do. So RNG now need to start getting these in their favor, and the problem for BLG is they're just not strong enough to try and contest these objectives right now, and aren't really gonna be for a long time. As you said, this game now relies on either one, finding picks with BiuBiu, Zeka, WeiWei, or two, having a screen that pops up, or two, having a Ziggs performance that will be able to take over this game.
We'll have to see. It's going to be Drake coming up in a minute. It's time here, Dagda, but BLG looking for a pick. Wei takes a spear. Won't turn into anything more. And I love that In the interviews before the game, we heard Xiaohu talking about how BLG had this Korean macro style of gameplay, and we get to see WeiWei playing with the damn one Nidalee skin as well. Feels very Korean from them.
It does, but kind of in a classic MSI fashion, it's not going for so hot for them against RNG. Like this playstyle, if you're not going to be able to ramp it up a notch, is just going to fall prey. And now RNG, we said they want to look at objectives. They want to look at taking this Baron. They're going to call BLG out and say, yeah, you're going to go towards the dragon. We're just going to burst out this Baron.
BLG have no idea. Wei is pretending that he wants to contest the Drake. And obviously, there's no spy on the top side, so you can't possibly do Baron, right, guys? Wrong. RNG take themselves a Baron. It's going to be traded for an Ocean Drake.
BLG, your mid lane.
Easily worth it. And now look at this, yeah. And the top lane. Forget just one tower. RNG won everything, pushing in the mid lane. They will respect here, just trying to keep Baron on the minions. But up on the top side, this will be a tier 2 taken. BiuBiu trying to flank onto Gala. Maybe something can happen. Mega Inferno Bomb went up to the top side there to try and clear the wave, but Baron buff exists. You don't get to clear these waves.
And that's going to be the top tower gone, and a really smart play from RNG. The Baron is what will facilitate them pushing in against this Ziggs. It will ramp up the pressure on towards BLG, and now they've done it beautifully. Poke coming through from Gala as the vision will be contested from RNG, but it's getting real dark in this BLG jungle for BLG as the wards start to come in, these towers start to fall, and RNG can now swap back and forth between the BLG jungle and attack multiple lanes at once.
This is becoming more and more difficult for BLG. 8,000 gold lead. This is starting to feel like what it felt like in game number 1, just on the opposite side of the scoreboard here in BLG. I mean, you're talking about how they need a flank. They need some kind of pick. In my mind, they need a miracle at this stage because RNG is one of those teams that when they find themselves the lead, they do not let go. When they get the first tower of the game, they close it out 77% of the time. They got the first tower of this game, and they're going to look to finish things out here. Massive advantage for them, and now they can play multiple lanes. They can use this Baron buff to try and break the map open.
Oh, Gala. Nice sidestep and a cleanse burnt there, but this is what I was talking about, right? You've now got them doubling up on Xiaohu bot side as he's actually looking for the trade.
He actually goes in. He's like, oh, 1v4? Yeah, I'll take those odds. I'll take that. And he's actually winning it. This is insane. Cryin moves over as well. The solo lane is from RNG. Beyond belief in this series right now. 12 for 2. Tower goes down in the mid lane as well. That is all 3 tier 2 towers taken. Zeka has only just finished recalling to move over to this side of the map again. A TP back into the play in the mid lane from Cryin, in the bottom lane from Xiaohu. The multi-lane push coming through. The inhibs will fall here. RNG are dominating BLG on the map. They want to take this to 3. They want to break the curse that BLG have had over them for 3 years strong. RNG trying to finish off this inhibitor to go onto ppgod with the Chain of Corruption here, but he had a stopwatch to keep himself alive. With 5 members, BLG will defend for now. And RNG, despite a great Q from Gala, will have to back away.
And this is what I wanted to touch on for Cryin being able to play towards these side lanes. Because you've got the Realm Warp, it's so easy for RNG to always have threat alongside Xiaohu in a split push, and we got to see it on that play, right? They jump over, pick off BLG, crack open 2 inhibitors just like that, and you just never get an answer here. And you can see here, right? Look at where Wei's positioned. He's between both his mid and Uswa's bottom side of the map to make sure that he can always be in position here. Now you get the Realm Warp coming in from Cryin, and 2v4 they're winning this fight, let alone when the rest of RNG show up, and Renekton picks.
Here we go, more fighting, more TPs coming in. BLG with a numbers advantage this time, but aiming almost one shot here. Ming onto the backside of this one. BiuBiu trying to get in the middle of everyone. BLG are actually winning it. Health bars are low, but they've still got the numbers advantage. The bomb's coming over the wall. Aiming doing so much work, but here comes Gala. Here comes Xiaohu. Triple for Gala as RNG with a numbers disadvantage somehow make it work.
And BLG have got to run for their base. There's super minions on their Nexus turrets that they're trying to clear. And now RNG get to push in this top side. But at least BLG managed to get some of those shutdowns, some of that gold back in their favor. But I think it's going to be too little too late, Munch. There's still a 10,000 gold lead. Dragon up in 50 seconds. And RNG, they want to crack open this base once more.
Xiaohu and Gala, the two men on your screen, still yet to die in this game. Another tower taken. There are but 2 towers remaining on the entire map for BLG at this stage. And with an Ocean Drake going up in 30 seconds, that should be a free objective for RNG. This was WeiWei getting caught out on a recall.
Yeah, we missed the start of this, but Wei does go very far forward. Look at where Gala is on the map, right? So this is a 4 versus 5. Aiming has been scaling into this game, so this Ziggs actually doing a surprising amount of damage, especially when he's hitting AoE style like in this fight. So BLG get a good amount of damage on towards the majority of RNG, but Gala, the hero flash over the wall, piercing arrow across 2 low health members, finishes off a third with a second follow-up arrow, and it means that Xiaohu's consistently getting resets, heating up, and taking this fight. Now, you can see that, like, Dragon is up, Wei is soloing that out. Baron in 40 seconds. And unless by some miracle BLG catch someone out, which they're looking to do, it feels like RNG can just push in towards this Baron.
RNG might actually be able to collapse onto the members of BLG that have overextended in the top side. ppgod is in all kinds of trouble. Xiaohu there to stop him escaping. And ppgod returns to heaven once more. But he's certainly not on the rift, that is for sure. Baron up in 10 seconds here, Dagda. And without support, I don't think BLG can contest it.
I mean, without control of the map as well, right? Super Creeps boss, mid, not really in favor of them either. Zeka's desperately trying to deal with this wave as RNG have started up this Baron.
WeiWei is over the wall, but that Q is going to do some work, isn't it? Keeps him away. Nice little shot there from Gala. That's basically half the enemy jungler's HP. And just look at the composition from BLG. What can you do? You have Nidalee, Renekton, you have a Lee Sin. This is not a late game scaling composition. This doesn't get better. And against the Baron, we already saw what RNG could do with the last Baron. Well, now there are no inhibitor towers. Now it's even easier for RNG to snowball. As WeiWei, I thought he was going to look for a pick onto Xiaohu, who is very deep alone. Guess what? Cryin has TP available. Zeka is pushed up, trying to deal with the super minions. He doesn't know that Xiaohu is here just yet. Now he does. He sees the mist, but just like the rest of the world, they saw the mist, but it was way too late. Zeka's in trouble. They don't even need a TP. Xiaohu's just going to go for the 1v1. Ming moving in, but Xiaohu's like, no. Let me get the solo kills. Me and BiuBiu were tied at the start of this series, and I'm going to change that fact.
Yeah, manages to pick that one up, and now BLG, they're running out of time here. The only way they can win this is like a 5-man solar flare into a 5-man mega further bomb sweet spot, and unless that happens, RNG are already closing in on the base.
Got to keep our eyes out for that solar flare, but RNG can just play this one slow. Inhibs respawning in the mid lane. They just play with the Baron. They still have 2 minutes of Baron to go. And they've already taken all 3 inhibs. There's a chain of corruption onto BiuBiu. Dominus used defensively just to survive the play. And now RNG with waves in all 3 lanes. The inhib in the bottom lane respawning, keeping BLG alive at least for a moment. But the minion wave's already pushing in. It doesn't matter about the bottom inhib. RNG, they can play this as slow as they want. The arrows continuing to come through from Gala. BLG forced back onto their fountain as ppgod desperate to buy time with a stopwatch. Flashes back onto the fountain. In goes Wei and brings them down. The Nexus will fall as RNG push us to a 6-game day and keep their dreams of 3rd seed alive.
And great performance coming through from RNG in this 2nd game, taking the loss in their stride and coming back, banning away some of the issues that we saw come through, getting a very different style of draft with this Viego first pick, and it looks so much better. Having that control on the top side of the map, allowing Xiaohu to actually have a 1v1 scenario against this lane opponent. Cryin as well on this Ryze looked absolutely incredible. Being able to get control of that mid lane, he's working towards these side lanes to make the plays happen, and consistently RNG winning out of these side lanes, winning out when it comes to the gold lead, and eventually turning that into the win.
And it feels like so much of this series has just been down to what happens in the first 15 minutes. Who is ahead as we broach the 15-minute mark? Because both of these teams have shown that when they find themselves a lead, they will not let go. They are very clean. They don't make many sizable mistakes, aside from minor overextension from RNG in this game, but it wasn't the end of the world for them. Feels like they are so good at extending that goal lead, using these Rift Heralds, trading on opposite sides of the map, that it's basically impossible to come back at that point. I really hope we could get a super close game 3 and we get some crazy late game team fights, but honestly, with how clean the early games are for the two teams, I don't anticipate that'll happen.
Yeah, it's very slow, very calculated early games. And you can see that it's much more about, okay, well, what's the puzzle? What are we trying to do? And for RNG, it was about these towers. And we've said this kind of throughout the series, is that RNG, they're not focused on like objectives in the traditional sense of, oh, we're going to get like dragon set up. Like, no, they're more interested in, hey, maybe we'll get a Rift Herald, but if we can trade a dragon bot side for, 3 turret plates top, a nice reset, using that tempo advantage they have, that's what they're more interested in. And you got to see it in this game where they managed to trade those dragons bot side. They'll actually trade the timing that they wanted on towards Rift Herald to actually find the fight after the Rift Herald's gone down, turn that into topside plates, topside tower, and from that point take over the game. So certainly a very different kind of calculated style from RNG than the traditional, hey, let's just butt heads and see who comes out on top.
Yeah, this does not feel like a team fight based series, right? This feels like a macro. This feels like an intelligent series of who can outthink the opponent. BLG did it in game number 1. RNG come back in game number 2. And that means we go to 3 to finish this series out on who gets what seed. We'll find out the answers after the break.